Judge Joe Brown's all-new barbecue sauce and seasoning. Justice in the form of flavor.
Law firms will take this as a retainer.
What? It must be a law firm where they hungry as hell. Now you gonna help me with this parole I'm dealing with?
Judge Joe Brown's all-new barbecue sauce and seasoning. Justice in the form of flavor. With one taste of our premium blends of all-natural ingredients, herbs, and spices, you'll fall in love with meat all over again. Judge Joe Brown's all-natural barbecue sauce collection is made up of 2 zesty flavors, original and spicy. There's only one way to bring order back to barbecuing. Just add Judge Joe Brown's all-natural barbecue sauce and seasoning, and you be the judge.
Because I want to play this other clip, and this is JD Vance. On the weekends, on Sundays, you know, he goes on ABC This Week and other media outlets. And I like JD Vance now doing interviews, honey, because he sets it straight.
Like him. At first, I had my doubts, but the more I hear him, I say, whoa.
Yeah, it's like the more I hear, because he had to say that his reporter here, he said, do you hear yourself? So let me play this clip.
The incidents were limited to a handful of apartment complexes, and the mayor said our dedicated police officers have acted on those concerns. A handful of problems.
Only, Martha, do you hear yourself? Only a handful of apartment complexes in America were taken over by Venezuelan gangs, and Donald Trump is the problem and not Kamala Harris's open border. Americans are so fed up with what's going on, and they have every right to be. And I really find this exchange, Martha, sort of interesting, because you seem to be more focused with nitpicking everything that Donald Trump has said, rather than acknowledging that apartment complexes in the United States of America are being taken over by violent gangs. I worry so much more about that problem than anything else here. We've got to get American communities in a safe space again. And unfortunately, when you let people in by the millions, most of whom are unvetted, most of whom you don't know who they really are, you're going to have problems like this. Kamala Harris, 94 executive orders that undid Donald Trump's successful border policies. We knew this stuff would happen. They bragged about opening the border, and now we have the consequences, and we're living with it. We can do so much better, but frankly, we're not going to do better, Martha, unless Donald Trump calls this stuff out. I'm glad that he did.
So what the hell was how can you can't romanticize or downplay what the illegal migrants are doing in Colorado and everywhere else in this nation. I'm sorry, and I'm glad he called her out. He even said, do you hear yourself?
The incidents were limited to.
It was like, basically, you sound crazy.
You know what we got taught in oratory and public speaking? If they don't ask you the right question, answer the question that should have been asked. And that's what he does with great art form. Mm-hmm. He doesn't get trapped, and he doesn't go down the rabbit hole they're trying to open up for him. Thank you, Mr. Vance. That was great. And the problem is, by the way, I was one of the first to start using that word vetted several years ago. You aren't vetting these people. You don't know if they're diseased, crazy, criminal. We've let in 15,000 convicted murderers. Mm-hmm. 15,000. You've let in 20,000 convicted sex offenders, and 60,000 who've been convicted of drug dealing on a major scale, and you don't even know where they are now. What kind of policy is that? Mm-hmm. See, no vetting.
Let's stay on illegal migrants for a second, because Bill Clinton, and this is the thing, Obama didn't do Kamala Harris any good with his speech last week. It actually did the opposite. And now it sounds like Bill Clinton is following Barack Obama's footsteps by harming Kamala Harris' campaign, because he talked about Raleigh. What was that?
Raleigh Durham.
Lincoln Raleigh.
Oh, Lincoln well, what?
Laken Riley's death. She was the one murdered by an illegal immigrant.
Oh, yes.
This is Bill Clinton talking about the border.
You had a case in Georgia not very long ago, didn't you? They made an ad about it, about a young woman who'd been killed by an immigrant. Yeah, well, if they'd all been properly vetted, that probably wouldn't have happened. But if they're all properly vetted and that doesn't happen, and America is not having enough babies to keep our populations up, so we need immigrants that have been vetted to do work, there wouldn't be a problem. And he couldn't keep people all torn up and upset.
And you're talking about bringing in replacements?
Well, it sounded like he was saying if they were properly vetted. So it sounded like he was
jamming up the bitch. Well, the witch.
Right. Yeah, thank you.
She-dog. She-hyena.
Right. So you got Obama disrespecting black men, and black men are at 20% already voting for Trump. So you just made it worse. And that twisted her arm to come out with a policy, because if he never said that, she wouldn't have came out with no BS policy. And now you got Bill Clinton basically saying, hey, they need to be properly vetted, and we got open borders, and that's not a good thing. But we Americans need to start having more babies. That's going against your
numbers. There's too many Negroes and Mexicans right now, so let's bring in some South American Mexicans so we can confuse the issue. Nothing wrong with Mexicans. I mean, if you go through the changes of becoming a citizen, more power to you. But they've been in line for 8, 9, 10 years.